what would amazing looks like to you that you should be having or experiencing in the present phase of your lives. And I would really request you to imagine yourself in that for a couple of moments. Now, after you imagine that, now the real question is, if you really know what amazing looks like to you, then why haven't you achieved it yet? Well, that's a harsh one. Probably because we are snooze button too often, or maybe we spend always endless hours on our social media, or maybe we are too reluctant to get out of our comfort zone even once. Well, the possibilities can be many. You see, it has been nicely quoted by a young gentleman that do what you can with what you have and from where you are. And you see, that very thought kills each and every excuse of a non-achiever regarding his opportunities, his resources, his background, and ultimately what fate he or she is carrying. Yet another, a very scintillating morning, afternoon, evening, in whatever time phase you are watching this. Now before I start off, I would like to clearly mention one thing. I am not here to preach anything to anyone. I am just as a student as you are, just to put forth my observations, my studies, my philosophies of the most successful persons on this planet. So yeah, having said that, human beings, since his very existence on this planet, has reached today what we call it, the pinnacle of civilization, by his fate or efforts. Well, they say that the discovery of fire, the starting point of the whole thing, was an accident. But certainly, the rubbing of those two stones by ancestors was not. It was our efforts. Though unintentional, but it was ours. So whatever we have seen up till now is the result and the only result of our continuously performed deeds that we have been doing since millennia. Now, most of us considers their fate solely responsible for their present adverse situation, and with respect, I call that person an escapist, as he fails to take the responsibility even of his passively performed deeds. Now, let's face it, we all know that at the end of the day, one cannot, and I repeat, one cannot lie to the man in the mirror. And if he do so, then he or she is not honest in his efforts. And for the escapist, it is obviously his fate and destiny. For example, I was not able to crack a competitive exam, and a really competitive one, because I haven't worked that hard for it. It is as simple as that. Never lie to yourself. And I firmly believe that our hard work and our hard work are in perfect alliance with each other. The harder one works, the luckier one gets. Now, if we take this observation to the next level, we'll come to realize that most of us enjoy a comfortable life because of the hard work of someone else. For example, God forbid, if Thomas Edison would have considered his 10,000 ways of not blowing a bulb as a decision of his fate to surrender his vision, then we won't be getting illuminations in our home right now. Let's face it. Now, moving on to the next point. Postponing and delaying the things are also the root causes of failure, which are eventually replaced by the words fate and destiny. And that is why I can self-quote that procrastination is the foundation of every unaccomplished aspiration. Yeah. So the next point is, so for whatever we have seen up till now, I can broadly categorize us into three broad categories. Winners, obviously the losers, and the one who have not discovered how to win, who have their ambitious thirst but does not know how to win. Well, guess what? There is no purpose recipe to win. But yes, if you are in the third category, or if you make yourself to be in that third category, then whether you are a winner or a loser, it does not matter. You will be becoming successful at a certain point of time, and the reason is, even if the winner, whose ambitious thirst has been quenched or who is satisfied in one way or the other, even he will never and ever live his life to his aspirations, or more substantially, will not be remaining at that same winning stature for a longer period of time. Now, as a thumbnail suggests, if we as humans, or more substantially, if we as students want to reach our imaginations, we really have to constantly learn along. And by learning, I don't mean learning from the books. Learning can come from anywhere, from your books, from your family, from your mentors, and most importantly, from your failure. And if someone talks about constant learning, the number one person that pops to my head first is Warren Buffett. That guy needs no introduction. You go study that guy. That guy spends 80% of his day literally reading piles of pages between 600 to 1000 pages a day. That's approximately 2 to 3 books a day, and that's insane. Well, obviously, he has achieved a certain stature where he can do this, and we as normal beings cannot. But the main point put forth here is, only the poor and the unsuccessful invest in money first. The rich first invest in themselves. So yeah, coming back to the point, if we really want to reach our imaginations, if we really want to achieve everything that we can dream of, we really have to constantly do things that are very tough. We have to break ourselves, we have to tear ourselves again and again, way beyond a breaking point. Because as they say, future only belongs to those who's preparing for it right now. And let me tell you, the harsh reality is, there is right now one person amongst you all who's working the same way I'm telling you, and who's going to achieve anything and everything which he's dreaming of today, tomorrow. When you, along with your friends, with your families, with your mentors, will be sitting back here on your sofa, well, you can use that for your motivation. But the other key thing which is present in every successful person on this planet, or which has helped any individual to get his things constantly done, is self-discipline. Now, let's face it, we all know the conventional definition of self-discipline, the one that has been taught in our schools 1,000 times. But the real definition that actually helps us to know that habit better, or that helps us to inculcate that habit better. Because you see, self-discipline is one of the most toughest habits to inculcate, but also the most rewarding ones. And it has been regarded as the mother of all habits. If that habit works, all the other positive habits would in turn work. So yeah, self-discipline, in my opinion, is the constant ability to act or behave just oppositely to what we feel. Because we are never going to feel like work. That's the way our human brains are wired. It's a fact. You can say it's a kind of an evolutionary sin that we are entitled to. So yeah, on the same note, I would like to challenge you with a very small activity. Pick any habit or any activity, the smallest of the smallest it can be, no matter how small it is. Pick any activity and do it for a sustained period of 21 days with no gaps in between. Well, many of us would find that to be very familiar, and for all those who think it is very easy, well, guess what? 90 to 95% of you will fail. Why? Because that's what the stat says. But if you are really there, if you are really at that top 5% bracket, then believe me, that habit or that activity would get permanently ingrained in your nervous system, and even when things will get tough, when other persons will be putting that thing, you on the other hand will be constantly working for that thing because you are subconsciously committed to the deed. Well, that's a little part of self-discipline. Now moving on to the next and the last point, fortunately, is the power of failure. Now 90 to 95% of the people in this world fail not because of failure. They fail because they fail to acknowledge failure as an opportunity to learn. Well, I agree that sounds very cliche, but yeah, that's the primary reason what separates the one person from the rest. So yeah, I firmly believe that a failed person is way more motivated, way more wiser, and way more stronger than a normal person who is in his comfort zone. So yes, as they say, fail early, fail often, and fail forward. And to really help you realize the importance of failure in the journey of every successful person on this planet, I would request you rather to imagine yourself as an ambitious young-blooded person who is striving for his goals days and nights out. So yeah, so the situation is, imagine you are working for 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, straight for 5 long years with no gaps in between. 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, straight for 5 long years. Imagine that whole grind. And in this whole hectic period, you have suffered 3 biggest financial losses or 3 biggest failures of your lives, which has eventually drained all your money out and which has forced you to borrow your money from a friend because you even don't have money to buy food or to live in a place. What would you do? Obviously, you have 2 options. The first option, the rational one, to quit that thing and to go for survival. And the second option, the crazy one, to still stick to that goal. Well, whether you believe it or not, 99.99% of the folks will choose the first option. And the rest, 0.01% of the folks would be the member of the future elite 3 club. It's a fact. They will be the future multi-billionaires and millionaires. And many of us would find the situation very familiar because Elon Musk, everybody knows who he is right now. Elon Musk faced that exact same situation situation and which played a very pivotal role in whatever he is right now. And the result is SpaceX. So yeah, with this I will conclude finally by saying that if your reason is big enough, then whatever may come in your way, you will overcome it and you will eventually become successful with eventually in bold letters. But, and a big but, if your reason is not big enough, again, if your reason is not big enough, your excuses will be. And with this, if you still think that being successful at the end of the day, as a matter of fact, is just because of luck, fate, or destiny, think again. Thank you.